What's going on, guys, and welcome to the live stream. I'm host Sway from Host Sway's Exotics, and since my boy BPL couldn't be here tonight, I got us another co-host to fill in temporarily. So as you can see from the thumbnail, we got our boy Dragon Whisper in the house tonight. He's going to be the co-host. So go ahead and tell him about yourself, and you can introduce the guest.
Hey, you guys, happy to be here tonight. Definitely can't fill BPL's shoes by any means, but happy to be here. And tonight we got the infamous Todd Autry. Guy is a legend when it comes to herping. Anybody who's watched his channels and ever listened to his live streams, and definitely a guru when it comes to the venomous species. And we are super happy to have him here. Can't wait to pick his brain and see what we can learn from this man and gain some of his knowledge.
For sure.
Mr. Todd Autry, welcome to the stream.
Hey guys, how you doing?
I'm great, man. How's everybody doing in the chat? Let's see who all we got here. We got Flex and Pythons, Hissy Fit Snake Rescue, Hostways Exotics, Todd Autry, Nikki. Welcome, guys. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome to everybody.
So let's get down to it, man. So tell them about your channel, Todd. Like what you like to do and all.
My channel is just basically primarily snake and field herping footage. I occasionally do something with captives or aquatics. I recently started doing lives. Iron Dog Reptiles kind of told me, man, you need to do some lives. I thought nobody's going to want to sit around and listen to me talk. And then, sure enough, they started getting a little bit of traction. So I've been kind of doing what I can to keep those up as much as I can. Doing probably about one a week, maybe once in a while, 2 a week. It's kind of an odd time of the year. The weather's real kind of screwed up here in Oklahoma. Normally you can't find me inside near a computer this time of year, but like yesterday, it's like the high was 99, and then today it was like the high was 72. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, and so like last night, like the herping was like really good, and had a lot of successful finds. Took a friend of mine from out of state out for their first time here, and tonight it's going to be like down in the 60s, and so like all the target species are not. No one's thinking they're going to be found tonight, but. I bet some people will get lucky and find some stuff. But it's just the weather's been real weird in Oklahoma this last year. We almost never get a lot of snow, and then it's like in February we had like a 2-foot deep blizzard, which is like unheard of for us. It's a once in a 50-year event, according to our local meteorologists. So. It's just a lot of weird weather patterns that aren't normal, and it's definitely kind of making field herping interesting, to say the least.
And that's one thing I need to work on like a whole lot more, like because I really was into it for like about a good year, and I stopped because I like after I stopped going out with the school and all and doing stuff with them. I couldn't find like any more snakes or anything. Like I came across like salamanders and frogs and that kind of stuff. And then I came across maybe 2 box turtles, but never found a snake. But I recently, I started road cruising, which is something I never really did.
road cruising is where it's at. If you know how to do it and learn a little bit about it, you can find 3 times as much. What it enables you to do is cover a much larger geographical area. And if you find roads that intersect good habitat and you stay on them and keep working them, you can really see a bunch of species in a short amount of time. A lot of times snakes, they survive by not being seen and by moving as little as they have to.
For sure.
So snakes might have a 10 to 30 minute window a night where they move, and that's when you can see them on the roads. And and it's definitely it's kind of my main focus. I used to keep a lot of creatures. I've probably kept one of everything over the last 25, 30 years. But anymore, it's just kind of, you get older, you hate messing with cleaning cages and stuff and the husbandry aspect of it. Go ahead.
So Todd, you think you're saying these snakes, because that blew my mind what you just said, that these snakes only move for about 10 to 30 minutes every night? That's your estimation?
That's that's kind of a rough estimate. Basically what happens is in road cruising, like you can take like a half mile's worth of road that intersects good habitat. And you'll maybe only see things out on that road for 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes less, sometimes more. It just kind of depends. But snakes follow certain patterns. They definitely move in front of storm fronts, when the barometric pressure drops, things like that. There are all these little things you kind of pick up on over the over the years of doing field herping, especially road cruising. And last night we found 5 distinct species. One that's real hard to find this time of year was a Graham's crayfish snake. And you don't see those in Oklahoma once you start getting into the summer heat.
Did you say crayfish snake?
Yeah, Graham's crayfish snake.
Wow.
There's Graham's and glossies. I think in the southeastern states. I think there's a Gulf Coast maybe. But they're real hard to find, and you sure don't generally see them road cruising. But we found one of those last night, in addition to a cottonmouth and a pygmy and a water snake, and we found one other species. I'm trying to think. Copperhead. We found a broadband copperhead.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you're not necessarily saying their movement for like the whole night. They may move longer than 10 to 30 minutes, but your window of catching them on the road in that visible spot is 10 to 30 minutes or so.
Usually, yeah. It's my observation that they kind of go from one place to another place, and they look for shelter in places, which is why a lot of times when someone hits me up and then they want to tell me that they've got copperheads on their property, and they're wanting to know what to do about it. One of the first things I usually kind of catch on to is I go to their property, and if they've got like a lot of down lumber or a lot of tin or a lot of shelter for these animals, I mean, that's what kind of draws them in.
Flippable stuff.
Snakes look for food, water, and shelter. They're pretty basic animals, and I'm not saying that like snakes will only move like for 30 minutes a night. I'm just saying like in general, when you're road cruising, you generally catch this window where they're on the move, and they're not on the move for long. Did we find any libs last night? Desert Wolf wants to know. No, we did not find any libs last night, Desert. But if we would have probably just ran them over or something. I don't know.
Sorry, I just caught up. with the conversation. I didn't realize we was talking about.
See, I'm glad Desert Wolf came in the chat because that makes me remember my question that I've been wanting to ask you. Because I know you know a lot about Venomous, so I'm assuming you have a pretty broad knowledge of Venom itself.
I would say I have probably a better knowledge of our native Venomous.
Okay, that's good because that's what I want to ask you about.
I used to work with a lot of exotic Venomous. I did volunteer work at our local zoo when I was younger. Picked up a lot of things from a lot of people, and have over the years I've owned some exotic Venomous. But anymore, it seems like it's such a headache to do and do right. That it's kind of like, a lot of people don't realize that if you obtain something like a black mamba or a monocled cobra, let's say the worst case scenario happens and you get bit. There's no real guarantee that they're going to have the anti-venom for you at your local hospital.
Exactly.
Even if you're in a big metropolitan area where you would think they might have something like that. You see, I'm in Oklahoma, and snake bites. I don't want to say they're fairly common, but we do see a few of them a year. Texas sees a lot of them. And it's generally treated with Crofab. I think there's another one that they're working on. I think it's called Anavip, but I don't know if it's in circulation yet. But the moral of the story is, when you get bit in the panhandle of Oklahoma or in the southeast pocket of the state, they're going to life flight you to Tulsa or Oklahoma City, where you're going to, receive your anti-venom, and you're already looking at this huge bill. When that happens,
$100,000 hospital visit, if not more.
Yeah, it's in the hundreds of thousands a lot of times, and so you have to take that into account. And in working with exotic Venomous, there's definitely some things that I take objection to with the attitudes of people who get into it. Now, I also understand on the flip side of that, there's the issue like what Dragon Whisperer was talking about, where like in a place like North Carolina, you can't own any natives. Well, your natives out there, like your cottonmouths, your copperheads,
what are you doing?
Those would be the easiest things to treat if you were bitten by them. I mean, to me, I'd much rather receive treatment for a copperhead bite than a something like a black mamba or
That's what I was telling them. That's what I was telling them earlier, because like I said, they got Crofab is at most hospitals. Most hospitals,
right?
But not all of them. So like you can get that, and that treats, like I said, all the native venomous snakes here for the most part.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, and that's something to take in mind. I mean, especially I get a lot of people hitting me up about, I want to work with Venomous. I want to work with Venomous. And my question to them is, why do you want to work with Venomous? I mean, like, do you have a legitimate interest in venomous reptiles, or do you want to own a puff adder so you can go on YouTube and say, hey, I'm a badass with a puff adder? There's two different schools of thought going on there, and I'm not saying necessarily either one is inherently wrong, but the motivation behind it kind of signals to me whether or not I want to even talk to the person. I learned a lot of venomous stuff. I learned a lot on my own and through field herping and things like that, and through like different research projects and things where like you'd find a rattlesnake in the field and you would be working with a team from like the local college. They're collecting weight measurements on rattlesnakes. So you learn things about like how to, hook one into a bag, how to hook one into a bucket, things like that. You learn some basic maneuvers with venomous snakes. And really a lot of people, I see a lot of people saying, I want to work with Venomous. I don't really know where to start. And I'm sitting there going, it's kind of getting harder and harder because I think people are scared about the liability factor.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean, like like if I go over to your house, Josue, and your king snake bites me, it's technically on you as a pet owner. It's technically your responsibility. So you get into all these areas of, when you keep venomous snakes responsibly, you get into the, do I have this amount of liability insurance? What if you have a pet cobra and it gets out? You got to think about these things. You have to go to like the worst case scenario and work backwards. So, that's what I think about.
Think about also in Florida, I believe, like the people with the venomous licenses and like the actual, I guess not like the teachers or whatever.
Right.
For you to have to get the actual venomous license, you have to work up under somebody that already has one as a mentor. But whenever you get that, they have to sign off on your training and stuff. So if something was to happen, that looks bad on you as being as a mentor.
Right. And what I found is probably about 10, 15 years ago, I would start noticing, these kids would catch me in a park somewhere or something, and I'd be photographing something like a copperhead or cottonmouth or maybe a pygmy rattlesnake. And he would, like these kids would approach me and be like, "Oh, I want to work with Venomous and all this and stuff." And I'd be like, well, here's a snake hook. See if you can get this copperhead to, out here on the trail or something. And, some of these kids would like drop the snake hook and just go for it with their hands and be like, well, I've seen Steve Irwin do this. And I'm like, get the hell out of here. I mean, you just flunked the test as far as I'm concerned. Nothing against Steve. I liked him and watched his show, found him to be very entertaining. But you are also dealing with someone who has been kind of somewhat like me. They grew up around this stuff. So they've got a lot of, knowledge and experience. And, and so that kind of accounts for something. Benjamin Payne, I'm kind of curious, which friend Pete Bethune are you talking about? Are you talking about Pete Bethune, who was part of Sea Shepherd for a while? I'd be interested to know. But anyway, it's just I know a lot of people who want to do stupid things, or I see them, and I avoid them. Plain and simple.
I'm pretty sure I can say this instead of typing it, but I'm pretty sure the fertile instant, that's like the most notorious venomous snake in like Central America. I think they're responsible for the most bites or something.
I believe that's
accurate.
Funny.
I did watch Well Wars, and there was a Pete Bethune on there on the Sea Shepherd.
Yeah,
and he is in New Zealand. What? Benjamin Payne is in New Zealand, so there's a chance. I mean, you are drawing some good conclusions there.
Yeah, I saw that name and I thought that's kind of interesting. Yeah,
that is coincidental that he's in that part of the world too. So
right.
That's funny.
But fertilances are something that like I would, I've messed with in like zoo type environments, but they're not the kind of thing you want to have in a 20-gallon long in your bedroom.
Hell no.
I mean, you can get into that stuff, and if you want to, you got to watch out for laws, and you got to remember that the whole reptile community, from field herpers to captive keepers, it's all under scrutiny right now. Yeah. I mean, there's especially lot of things
by the lawmakers for sure. Yeah,
right. There's the lawmakers, but a lot of field herpers actually kind of think they're immune to that kind of scrutiny as well. And I'm starting to see where, like, one of my friends, a guy named Ian Phillips over in London, is kind of telling me he has a YouTube channel, and he's an all around great guy, and he does different nature videos, and he's like, you can't flip rocks over here. If you do, you better not get caught, because just flipping a rock, you can get a big fine for destroying or altering the habitat over there. I know there's places in the United States where that can happen. I've talked to people in Pennsylvania who've got nailed for doing things like that. So you kind of have to, I kind of question people's motivations in doing certain things, and it's kind of like, would you be doing this anyway? Or would you be doing this? I'm seeing a lot of people who I don't think, and I'm not going to start calling them out by name because one, I don't want to draw more attention to their channels or whatever. But like, I've seen a lot on Instagram of people messing with Venomous, and I'm like going, you have no idea what you're doing. Why are you even messing with Venomous? You're getting your hand in the strike zone. You're doing this. You're feeding an animal that you've had for 2 hours. It's like, just all these common sense things that, you really, in my opinion, I think you should really be, have your husbandry skills down with non-venomous for a solid 3 to 5 years before getting into venomous, if you get into venomous at all, because it is a different road.
Yeah, I don't necessarily approve or promote the way he handles snakes and all of his practices, but I do watch a lot of Tyler Nolan videos. I mean, he's a popular guy on YouTube, and I question the way he handles sometimes, but he does talk about that that's not necessarily the way you should. And he's took a king cobra bite. I mean, he's lost a finger, and he still free handles a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. I know who that is. I have not watched any of his videos. So I really couldn't comment on it. Right. But one thing about Venom that's really kind of scary is you never know how you're going to react to it. I've had friends lose fingers. I've had 2 different friends that have died. I've had, situations where people, got bit and then died later because of other health complications that they wouldn't have had they not gotten tagged by something that was pretty powerful. And a few years back, a guy I know out here in Oklahoma, he was told, we will not be able to treat you with crowfab if you get bitten again. And he took a bite to his upper arm and subsequently passed away because of that bite. And you're talking about a Western Diamondback. You're talking about something that people generally survive their bites. You have to understand copperheads can do and will kill people. So, it's just like, I kind of look at people who take it seriously. I know a ton of people who free handle and who do things that, like, I personally don't agree with, but yet I know them. And, so I don't want to, like, be seen as bashing free handlers, but I would say it's not a recommended best practice.
Exactly. But see, I feel like some of the people that free handle snakes, but I hate to even say that word, but I feel like they know the safe practices of how you're supposed to do it, but they just choose not to. Like, you know what I mean?
I've seen some people like that, and I've seen people that free handle and they know better and they should. I've also seen people that almost seem to have like this odd gift for it. You have to remember, Grace Olive Wiley was killed by a snake bite. She was this lady, I want to say she's back in the 30s or 40s. The photos of her are all black and white. And she could just like pick up an Eastern Diamondback rattlesnake and play with it. And she ended up dying, I think, from a cobra bite. And a photographer kept trying to get her to take a certain kind of picture. And I want to say she got bit and nailed and died from it. So, there are some people that have those kinds of gifts of, being able to handle venomous snakes. And I know a little bit about that kind of stuff. I've done very, very little free handling before. Usually I've done it like when, something happens and you don't think and you make a move before you can really think about what you're doing. So you kind of had to be careful of that. Like one time I was chasing like a copperhead that like went in this crack between like this wall and a garage floor. And its tail was sticking out. And I just grabbed it by the tail and yanked it out, and I yeeted it behind myself. And once again, I was sitting there thinking, looking back, that was pretty stupid, dude. You could have gotten bit. But, it's, it's just kind of what it is. I will never advocate free handling. I will never support it. It's just, to me, it's all around why bother with it when we have hooks, when we have tongs, when we have tubes.
Exactly.
We've got all these things, and and once again, I've seen a lot of snakes that I've kept, or I've seen, or I've worked with, that have never struck, have never shown any aggression whatsoever, and then one time, just out of the blue, bam, it comes out. So I mean, you don't know. There are species out there, like every Great Basin rattlesnake I've ever seen has generally been just chill and calm and fairly, cool. And you would think, if there was a species you could free handle, it'd be that one. But then it's like, they can go 90-0 just like that. And so you never really, I mean, to me, I just sit here and go, why free handle? I mean, if you want to, that's your business. I'm not going to attack you. I'm not going to run you down. I will say, don't hit me up for support. And and if that's your goal, I mean, I'm not going to have anything to do with you, because, like you said, it reflects back on you. Yeah. Getting back to the training and stuff. If we had a program like that in Oklahoma, where you could, actually train people to do some stuff, I would probably honestly do it, because I kind of feel like there's a lot of skill that's kind of being lost, because we went from like the 70s and 80s where you could work with things, people would show you things, and it seems like somewhere in the 90s it's just like everyone had an attorney, and my kid came to your alligator farm and helped you move an alligator, and he got bit, and now I'm turning around and suing you. And so I think that's wrecking a lot of things, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a phrase that we use, like any kind of thing when you do with guns or anything, like when you go to the gun range. But anytime you deal with a gun, is you treat every single last one as if it's loaded.
Right.
And that's how you should treat venomous snakes.
I 100% agree with that statement. Most of the people I know in the community that have clout or credit kind of feel the same way. They're like, safety 100% of the times. And once again, you got to realize there's going to be a time where safety's either you're going to forget, you're going to, you're going to forget, you're going to turn your back, you're not going to think, because we're humans, we're subject to human error, and any venomous snake you're working with in captivity can definitely capitalize on that, or in the wild. I had a buddy a couple of years back who, like, he was nicked by a copperhead, and he was like going for his camera, and he turned and took his eye off of it for like that microsecond, and sure enough, I mean, he didn't have to go get treatment or anything. We watched him and made sure he wasn't showing any signs of envenomation. And I wanted to start heading towards the hospital anyway, because I'm going to err on the side of caution. But we ended up staying out field herping the rest of the night. So,
Ooh. That was, you had me going for a second. I was like, oh man.
It definitely can happen.
One of the things that I have heard Tyler Nolan say, which I thought was interesting, and I'd like to get your opinion on this, is he says on his channel, like I said, he discourages free handling, even though he does it, but he does say that if you're going to get into hots, that his best recommendation for you is to find you a pissy, non-venomous snake like a black racer or something that has a serious attitude, and practice taking that snake out with a hook at least 100 to 200 times without getting bit before you even think about getting a hot.
Yeah, exactly.
I would agree with that advice, and I've given that advice before.
Yeah. He said, make sure you have a lot of experience handling a snake that will tag you in a heartbeat before you ever even think about it.
Yeah, I've actually kind of encouraged that myself. I've told people to get a coach whip or something like that, or a racer, and basically, if you can't remove it with 2 hooks, or and once again, at that point, I'm kind of pushing people towards hooks, because even though tongs do have their place, something like a racer or a coach whip can get really hurt by tongs because they're so spazzy. A lot of Nerodia species are the same way.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like you have to be quick, you have to be alert, you have to pay attention, and once again, a lot of venomous snakes are predictable, but at the same time, they can turn that on and off, and you'll never know it.
Desert wolf.
I know a lot of people, they say, what is another good one? The false water cobra is real good, and like you get like an indigo snake, like some kind of big colubrid like that.
I think something like a Karibo or an indigo would probably kind of fare in that vein if you wanted to look at doing that. With me and kind of my background and how I grew up, I kind of would come into contact with venomous snakes and things like that. And, you pick up on things like my grandparents, I went on live the other night. I was talking about my grandparents and what they showed me about snakes. Is like they'd give you a hook. You use that hook to lift up a sheet of tin. So that way you're not putting your fingers right under the tin. Yep. Because if there's a venomous snake under there, it can, you're going to startle it and it's going to bite you. It may not even mean to.
Number one rule of flipping. Yeah, you always use the hook to pick up tin or anything you want to flip.
Right. But, there's been a lot of times here in Oklahoma where I've flipped rocks that have had copperheads underneath them. I flipped rocks that have had pygmy rattlesnakes, timber rattlesnakes underneath them. I mean, it does happen, and there's some rocks that you can't hook. There's some rocks that you have to get both hands on if you want to really lift it. Anymore, I try not to do much rock flipping at all, just because I'm old and decrepit. I've got arthritis, and things are just. You get older, you can't flip 100 rocks on the hillside like you could when you were 20. So,
yeah, I agree with you that. And I ain't even that old, but yeah,
right.
I'm good. I used to go out and track miles and miles in the woods and just walk around and just I can't do that no more.
Right. And and it kind of changes with age, like your philosophies and things. Like I said, I used to keep a lot of reptiles. I used to keep, plated lizards, rainbow boas, things like that. I've done a lot of different aspects. I kind of feel like I have a fairly well-rounded knowledge of what goes on. And, once again, I don't know anything about Tyler, but I would agree with what he says on that for sure.
So hands down, like, what do you say would be your favorite snake? Like venomous or non-venomous, or all together?
One of my it would probably be a toss-up between something like the Arizona Ridge-Nose or the banded rock rattlesnakes.
I do like those.
I definitely really like those. Those are super cool. I'm always a huge fan, even though they kind of get thrown in the category of trash snakes. I'm a huge fan of the Atrox, the Western Diamondback. It's a really iconic species. It's been persecuted. They've been commercially hunted for over 100 years. And it's just kind of like their populations are still fairly stable in a lot of places, but we have seen them disappear from others. Yeah. I definitely like your Mojaves and prairies, those kind of Western larger rattlesnakes. Those are favorites.
Because I haven't seen it. Only ones I've seen in person is just the ones that we have here. Because we looked at just all the venomous stuff we got here, but they were all in like little jars and stuff. So you haven't really seen anything too much live, other than my little snake I got. So, but right. The venomous show, I got to see some of those like bandit rock rattlers, but they were just like little tiny ones, these little, like super baby ones.
Yeah,
and a lot of gaboon vipers.
Were you at Repticon in South Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. I've got friends that hit that show, and they generally have a lot of interesting stuff there, but it's it's just kind of like, working with Venomous is all around different than almost anything else. I mean, it's just it's a different, I almost say skill set, but probably, yeah, I probably would be there with skill set. You have to know how to use a hook. You have to know how to think on your feet. What do you do if you've got a snake and you're hooking it and you're going to fling it off the road because a car's coming and you slip and fall? You have to put yourself in every different scenario of what can happen and expect that. And that's it's not a bad practice, that kind of plays with into working with other reptiles, as well. So I mean, you think about it. Okay, if we open this, if we open this tank, what's this animal going to do? If we open this cage, what's this animal going to do? If we get any closer to this animal, what's it going to do? And think about that, and think about, like, do I have room? Do I have room to move? Do I have, space? I wouldn't want to be taking like a picture of a rattlesnake on like the side of a cliff if I was near the cliff, because I'm sitting there thinking, what if he strikes and I just inadvertently go this way and throw myself off the cliff? You literally think about these things. And I know people that have done free handling and stuff for years and have never gotten bit. And then I know people that get bit 3 times a year. It's crazy.
Dude, I was watching his YouTube video like 2 nights ago. Like, speaking of, you made me think about it. Guy had a huge Eastern Diamondback. Like, I mean huge, like maybe like a 6-footer, like
Right.
5-6 footer. So, and I mean his body was like, kind of like that. So, dude had him draped around his neck, like wrapped around him like it was a ball python, dude. And he was just sitting there talking like, yeah, I got this thing tamed down, and the snake's head was like right here next to his neck, just chilling. I
Right.
was like, dude, you are out of your freaking mind. And then like he freaked it out and it struck at like the camera or something for a second. He's like, oh, he normally doesn't do that. Screw that, man. You got to be crazy.
Well, I had a friend in Alabama who had an Eastern Diamondback that he raised from like a little neonate, and he just got it used to being handled, and he worked with it, and he was patient, and he had that thing for like 11, 12 years. And the last time I heard anything about him was his wife went on his Facebook account to say that he had taken a hit from it. She didn't know when he was going to get out of the hospital, when he was going to be back on Facebook. I haven't seen him since. So think about having a pet Eastern Diamondback, free handling it for 10 years. Then one day out of the blue, it decides it doesn't want you around.
Dang.
I mean, you have to realize that those animals can be like that. I mean, they can be totally tame for, years, months, whatever, and then they just go 90 to nothing like that. And
Yeah.
so,
Hey, host, wait, is it that time for the shout outs?
Oh, snap. It is. I'm glad you reminded me. We were getting into the conversation, man.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
So let's see. So since we got 3 people here, each one of us can read one column on the list if you don't mind, Todd and Dragon Whisper.
one
No
column
problem.
on the list. Are you talking about down here below in the description?
No.
He'll put it on the screen.
Right here.
Okay, well, I'll start. Go check out Ball Python Love, Iron Dog Reptiles. Venom, wonderful guy. I don't know about him. I'll go ahead and check him out too. Derek's Reptiles, what was he say? The Black Jerry Springer?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Not Lose Exotics, buddies of mine. J&G Reptiles, go check them out. Kurtwood 75, Hill Jack's Life, Desert Wolf Armory, Big Desert. Me and him are friends. He's a good dude. He's a great guy. Love his channel. Reptile Feedings, D's Balls and Exotics, and Proper Royals. Go check all those guys out and give them some love.
You want to do the second column?
I'll let you take the second one.
Okay, all right. First off, we definitely have Hostways Exotics, the host of tonight's show, along with BPL. They are the P&E show that goes live every night. Definitely give a lot of love to those guys, Hostway and Mr. David at BP at Ball Python Love. And then, of course, we have My Animal House. Justin's in the chat right now. Awesome dude. Love watching their live streams, the Iron Animal Show, and the show he does with his wife. Then we have Spider Mom 1978, definitely the queen of the arachnids. Check her out if you got any questions about how to raise your tarantulas and whatnot. TNT Balls, Big Ball Pythons people, Prehistoric Companions, awesome person as well. They're in the chat. OSMR Balls, once again, Big Ball Python. I think they might be into the boas too these days. Fitz Family Constrictors, really awesome people. He just did an awesome raffle for the pedals and scales people, and just actually had some pretty cool clutches too. Always Evolving Pythons, big name in the Python game. Definitely check him out. Barry Pythons and the Holy Balls, another big name in the Python game. A lot of cool ball pythons there. Rescued Replicated Reptiles. I think he was just on a night or two ago. That guy, wealth of knowledge. I was really impressed with his knowledge in some of the species he cohabs and has a lot of luck with that. But check him out for sure on Instagram. Marquez Family Reptiles, awesome people. Check them guys out on YouTube. And Ectothermic Dungeon recently on the channel. Got all the invertebrates and a lot of knowledge about those type of things. So go check them out on their YouTube channel.
Hell yeah. And on the last column, we got Area 51 Morphs. We still assuming he's been abducted like once or twice. He's pretty cool though. We got Doug's Monsters. He's representing over there in Scotland. We got Balls of Rust. He was talking about the Jedi Morph and the Ball Pythons. Pogo's Pythons with Mr. and Mrs. They got a whole bunch of really cool African sulfur rat breeding and stuff in their pythons as well. They got Fox Hollow Reptiles. He had the Bull Snake. Yeah, he had the Bull Snakes and Dragon Whisper. He is the other co-host on the P&E show tonight. He's filling in for Ball Python Love. So you definitely guys go check him out. We really appreciate him doing this tonight. It's a super big favor for us. And we definitely appreciate him. And if you don't realize, his name is Yellow because he has been up on the P&E show tonight twice. So this will be his third time. He's definitely going to be orange up there with Reptile Feedings and Kurtwood 75. So you should definitely guys check him out if you don't check out anybody else on the list. And we got Celtic Balls. Jeff and Andy's real cool. They got a lot of super cool morphs in their ball pythons. Morph T Exotics over there on Instagram representing. Gray's Reptiles was super cool guy. We love when you give him back up here. He's one of BPL's person he buys his snakes from, and he has a lot of cool ones. So, and last but not least is Todd Autry, one of the legends in the game with a whole lot of reptile knowledge, and we're picking his brain tonight. So definitely go check him out if you don't check out Dragon Whisper, and go watch some of the videos, hit a like button and turn on the notifications, and it'll probably really help them out a whole lot. So we definitely appreciate you guys for all the stuff you do. And yeah, there we go.
Good stuff. I noticed I'm last on that list too.
You're the newest person on there.
Well, that's what that is. Okay, we'll go with that.
I said we'll go with that. Yeah, it's funny. they go in order you've been on the show, Todd, unless they have some kind of problem getting the names to fit, and then they'll alter the order a little bit.
No, I get it. You okay over there, Dragon?
Yeah, my bad. I choked on something.
God, allergies are horrible this time of year. At least they are out here. Don't know where you're at, but
indeed,
allergies
are
horrible. This is nothing I'm allergic to, Todd. Thank God. Hey, Esther. Good to see you. How are you tonight?
Oh man. Oh yeah, Esther's in the chat. Oh snap.
Yeah, Esther's in the chat. She's right there.
Big shout outs to everybody in the chat. DG, J&G. Some people are hopping in and out because the Reptile Feeding is Kurtwood stream, but Von's there. Solo. I saw Justin in the chat and Iron Dog. Yeah, it was funny. I don't know if you saw Husway, but so Derek popped into the Iron Dog show today, and then Roz Reptiles popped in, and they started talking junk about Mortal Kombat. So then Roz issued Derek a challenge right there on the live stream, and then Derek disappeared and said he was getting ready, but everybody thought Derek was really chickening out. So he came back, and they played Mortal Kombat live on the live stream, and Derek won the first match, but Roz said it was because he didn't pick his character, and then after he picked his character, Roz whooped him methodically twice in a row.
He said methodically. Good
Lord. He did it. Yeah, he did it, like talking junk the whole time too. Like, get up, get down, get up, like throwing him around. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I kind of felt bad, but Derek took it like a champ. He really was. He was not a sore loser. He took it on the chin like a champ.
He said he took it like a champ.
He really did. But anyway, let's get back to the herping. So Todd, I had a question that I was trying to lead into with the Venom question earlier, and that is that I've watched a lot of Wolf's videos, and I picked up a lot from not only Wolf, but like I watched Kevin McCurley's Nerd Channel, and when he talks about Lilith and some of his hots, and some other guys that keep hots like Tyler Nolan and Dingo Dinkelman, and they talk about the different animals like the Gaboon Viper having one of the biggest venom loads, and certain snakes having the most deadly venom and the most necrotic venom. But just from watching, like I don't have the knowledge you have, but by watching Wolf's videos, I don't know what it is about it, but even when I've seen people like Dingo that have black mambas and get good hard strikes on rodents, and you know, he's got some badass gaboons and stuff, but it seems like every time the timber rattlesnake, every freaking feeding I watch where he does a timber rattlesnake, when that rattlesnake busts that mouse ass, it is literally like 5 to 10 seconds, and that dude is freaking stretch gang. And and it's like, I've heard that their venom is not as bad as some of these other species, but it seems like repeatedly and methodically they kill faster than anything else I see when I see a live venom feed.
Well, and there can be different factors that play into that. I will say that timber rattlesnake venom is very serious. I want to say there was this one pocket in the southeastern United States. I want to say some guy got bit and like died within 15 minutes. This is about
Good
4 or
Lord.
5 years ago. Yeah, and I want to say it was like some high-level herpetology guy. I want to say he was. Now I'm thinking about it, but I want to say that he was some researcher, and he just took a bite, and they found out that like this pocket of them have like this super strong venom in this. It's somewhere in Georgia or somewhere. It was down there. You know, as far as mice, they don't have near the things that fight off, something like venom that like humans would have biologically. And I think it could be venom yield. It could be the toxicity. There's a lot of differing opinions. There's like an actual LD50 rating for different rattlesnake venoms. And how they derive that is like, this amount of venom will kill this population of mice. Right. And I'm not real up on all that stuff. I used to be, like 10 years ago, I could have told you everything about it. Now it's like just another thing that I forgot. My main focus and what I'm trying to do with my channel is to show people the other side of the rattlesnake. I'm trying to show people that's, here's a copperhead and it's not biting you. Here's a cottonmouth, it's not chasing anyone. A lot of people like, man, you should do more strike videos. And I'm like, why? I'm trying to better the reputation of these animals.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I grew up in the South, and like my parents were always stay away from the creeks, stay away from the water moccasins, stay away from the copperheads. They'll come after you. And we would even go tubing in the river, and my uncles would even tell me, hey, if you see water moccasins come down into the water off the bank, like they will come after you. You need to get out of the water right away. And all of that was BS. It was just, it was myths, it was wild tales, it was misinformation, it was lack of knowledge, it was what they were told, and they didn't take it upon themselves to do any research, find out any better, and so when I watched some of your stuff, and like Dave Kaufman has a lot of videos, particularly his Snake Road videos, where he shows a lot of species, and yeah, they're not interacting aggressive in the wild. They're water moccasins and cottonmouths that are not striky, and he's putting the camera right in their face, and when Clint and them go herping out west and they come across rattlesnakes, typically they don't ever come after anybody. They don't ever just strike randomly. It's so much of a bad rap for those animals, because that's what gets the views and that's what gets the attention. These guys with their I hate when I see these rattlesnake videos where these guys, they have their cowboy boots and their hats on, and they got a rattlesnake up on a table, and they've got a balloon blowed up, and they got a bunch of people standing around, and they're making that rattlesnake strike to pop that balloon, and they think that's a great show, and everybody claps and cheers, and that's terrible for the animal. That makes people that see that animal in the wild want to chop his head off when they see that.
Well, a lot of the I've got a lot of video of that kind of stuff that I've documented myself. That's kind of how I became known throughout a lot of the reptile community. I was part of I still am part of an organization called Rise Against Rattlesnake Roundups. They're on Facebook. I have 2 different YouTube channels that have roundup footage on it. My most recent and better one is called Roundup Rodeo. I'm not really promoting that channel because, technically everything that I show on that channel is going to be against YouTube's terms and conditions. It's just some kind of place that I use to catalog the footage and keep it in another place in addition to the hard drive. But I know a lot of the people involved in that kind of stuff. And while I disagree with a lot of it, I also, kind of understand, these people grew up here. These people grew up and they couldn't go fishing with their grandfathers, so they went rattlesnake hunting with their grandfather.
Right.
Things like that. So, I kind of have, a perspective on the cultural background of those events. And 2 years ago, a friend of mine, I'm not going to mention his name, but he is a friend of mine, and this is inherently stupid. I'd never recommend it. I did get it on video. He got in a bathtub with 200 rattlesnakes.
Oh, God.
And the previous record was 119 or something. It was set by a guy named Jackie Bibby out of Texas, and he wanted to break his record and go in advance of that. And that video's on the Roundup Rodeo channel. But the thing of it is, while I disagree with that, I think it's stupid. I think it's reckless. I think it's dangerous. I'm also in the crowd and I'm hearing what the crowd is saying. Or actually, for that one, I was actually in the pit because I was videotaping the whole thing. And people were asking me, well, how is he not getting bit? I'm like, rattlesnakes don't want to bite you, and you get to tell that to people 300-400 times a day, and things like that. So you kind of have to look at both sides of that coin. Overall, that kind of behavior is something that is thrill-seeking. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. But if you're going to do it, will I be there to videotape it? Probably.
Well, I mean, I think there's definitely some educational value in showing people the danger to snakes, but having a big balloon blow up in a snake's face can't be good for anybody. I mean, there's got to be another way to just demonstrate, the strike speed or the range of a snake than having it bite a big old balloon that's going to make a loud pop and blow up in his face.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm not real big on those kinds of stunts they do, but one thing I've noticed though is that they do grab a lot of attention from people.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
I've never really seen a snake harmed from that. I think
That's
it
true.
Probably is stressful on the animal. And once again, I disagree with this kind of stuff, but we're also, working to get game departments on board with us and what we do and what we think. And the thing that I have came forward and put out there is, okay, there's certain species like the eastern diamondback. There's still one hunt left that focuses on eastern diamondbacks. It's down in Alabama.
Wow.
The two that were in Georgia have converted over to no kill, no wild collection festivals.
I was just about to say something about that. Welcome,
That's
Gargoyle
great.
Gecko Man. Welcome, Sherry, Moon over Miami. Everybody else, just catching up with the chat. Esther, Benjamin, Far out, Hissy Fit. But yeah,
A lot of
because they
people
used
hopping
to
in and out.
back in the day, they used to call it the Rattlesnake Roundup. It used to happen
The
like not
Rattlesnake
even
Roundup.
20 minutes from where I stayed at.
Well, Josue, in Texas, there's still 6 of them. In Oklahoma, there's 6 of them.
I think they call it a fall time festival or something now.
No, you're a little off there, bud.
What do they call it?
They still call them Rattlesnake Roundups.
They still call it that?
There's like Okeen, there's Sweetwater, there's Oglesby. The Apache is called the Apache Rattlesnake Festival in Apache, Oklahoma. That's the one where everybody saw the picture of the rattlesnake that had its mouth sewn shut.
Now, I guess it's legal for them to harvest the rattlesnake meat and sell it, because I know there's some state fairs that I've seen boosted have rattlesnake.
Yeah, that probably for the most part comes from Texas or Oklahoma these days.
Wow.
In Oklahoma, rattlesnakes, your timbers, your prairies, your western diamondbacks, they are actually game animals. In Texas, they're non-game. So in Oklahoma, you have a 4-month window where you can legally collect an unlimited quantity of those species, and that,
not even a bag limit, just all you can get.
All you can get for 4 months of the year.
Wow.
And Texas has no limits whatsoever on like western diamondbacks.
Now, Todd, do you think that is because the Fish and Wildlife or whoever manages that in that state has assessed the population is that bad that it needs that much hunting?
No. What I think happens is these hunts get established. Like the first rattlesnake roundup in the United States that was organized and actually called a rattlesnake roundup happened in Okeen, Oklahoma in 1939, which is about 20 years before the first one in Sweetwater, Texas, which is the best known. And what happened is, before, the government used to pay bounties on rattlesnakes, like up in New England. That's how a lot of your timber rattlesnakes got extirpated from those areas. Is, they would get collected and sold for bounties. And what's going on with the western diamondbacks out here in Texas and Oklahoma is, people basically live in rural areas with a lot of snake dens, and they catch them and bring them into town, slaughter them, sell the meat, sell the skins, sell the rattles, sell the organs. They used to do some stuff with the venom. What's going on with the venom today is real kind of sketchy. None of us really have a good handle on it. But anyway, all this stuff was I kind of think it's kind of stayed legal because game departments themselves don't want to have to go out and mess with rattlesnakes. So here's your local JC chapter, your local Lions chapter. So they let them do it instead. Now, Oklahoma at least is a little bit more progressive than Texas, in my opinion, because they banned burrow gassing, which is the practice of spraying gasoline into a rattlesnake den, flushing the rattlesnakes out. It's still legal to do in Texas up to like 210 gallons.
Wow.
But a lot of places don't the turtle, like the gopher tortoises, like here in Georgia, they they cohabitate and stuff with the rattlesnakes and things like that. So I mean, what about the turtles? Like, you would think they'd think about that kind of stuff too.
You would think they would think about it. I know it still goes on some in Georgia and Alabama.
Flex said you held the bow yet.
I know it's illegal there, but it still happens. I mean, that much I know. I've seen people post videos of themselves doing it on Facebook. And even though it's illegal, it's like, here's a video on Facebook. It's 210 gallons, Sherry. I believe gasoline as a pest control device is legal in Texas up to 210 gallons.
As a pest control device, I heard that. And you think y'all have more brush fires or more, whatever?
Well, you would think, but and maybe that affects it somewhere. I think there's concerns about it leaking into the groundwater. But
Right.
once again, Oklahoma did something about it. Texas, it's on you to do something about it. The
Right.
silver lining at the end of the Roundup issue is, back in 1979, 1980, there were 44 Roundups in Texas alone.
Good
Almost,
Lord.
almost every city in West Texas had one of these things, and today there's much fewer of them. Oklahoma's kind of had the same 6 ones going forever, and they kind of eschewed the national attention and things, whereas Texas welcomes it in. So, like, everybody knows about the Sweetwater one. There's a lot of other ones going on out there,
Yeah.
and
Now, just to play devil's advocate, do you think by any chance this actually helps cull the wild population and make sure they don't overpopulate?
I don't personally believe that at all.
I didn't think so.
But on the other foot, I know the same. I know some ranches in Oklahoma that people have been hunting rattlesnakes on for 40 years, and they still turn up 500-600 pounds of rattlesnake a year. So
Good
is it hurting the
Lord.
population? We don't really know. I think there needs to be
Well,
more studies done on it. I think there needs to be more oversight by your game departments and things like that.
Right.
Um,
At least some kind of limits, I would think.
right,
Tagging
definitely.
something.
because like I could see like if it was a problem with the snakes, like you know what I mean. Like if they were overpopulated, maybe that would be okay. Because like we do that with just about like any other kind of animals that overpopulate, and like they're doing in Florida with the pythons and all. But certain places, a lot of rattlesnakes are endangered, like around like in the Georgia area and stuff. They're endangered, just
Right.
like with the indigo snakes and stuff. So I wouldn't even. I don't know.
Well, I think that when a lot of these festivals started, take one like Mangum or Sweetwater, Texas, which is the real famous one, gets all the attention. These were started in like the 1950s. Okay, there wasn't a local hospital. If there was, it didn't have crowfab. So, and then people are settling in the area and running cattle across the land. You know, you have to kind of understand that. Um, that at one time these things may have at least made sense. Now, to me, they would never make sense because I love the snakes, and I'm just kind of like, get a decent pair of boots and you'll be okay. But they generally, these things have kind of happened in areas where rattlesnakes were had good populations, and today I think it has hurt a lot of populations, especially in the east. The eastern Diamondbacks, I think, have really, I want to say they've probably, I want to say, been totally wiped out of the wild. There's still some pockets of them, but they've definitely suffered from habitat loss and the hunting pressures. I mean, look at how many people are in Florida, and 3,000 new people a month are moving to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm waiting on them to, put concrete over the Everglades.
But you know what blew my mind? They don't have copperheads down there.
Up in the Panhandle, they do. That's
Oh,
like the
okay.
one.
In the
That's
further
the
up
one
north.
area there where they don't have copperheads, and copperhead habitat. I don't see like southern Florida as being good for copperhead habitat, but it's there are cottonmouths down there for sure. There's
Oh yeah.
dusky pygmies, and of course the eastern diamondback rattlesnake. I don't know how far south timbers go into Florida, but I want to say at one point they were there. I'm not sure if they're still there.
Yeah.
So,
Because I got a couple friends that said they come across them like here, probably maybe like 20 minutes outside of where I'm staying at. But I haven't ran across one like because we got they said they've got Easterns. I've looked in like gopher tortoise holes and stuff, and been out with people like with the cameras and all they stick down in there. But we still ain't like turned up with anything. We found gopher tortoise shells. We couldn't find a gopher tortoise.
right, yeah, their populations. If you go to that Facebook page, the Rise Against Rattlesnake Roundups, if you go to their files section, they have a lot of the studies that were done like in the 70s and 80s. And like, you know, in 1990, it was estimated that like 3,000 pounds of Eastern Diamondbacks were exported from Georgia out of state. They weren't sure where they went. They weren't sure if they went to, you know, leather workers, you know, who make boots and belts out of them, or what. But when you look at animals in an area like Georgia and Florida, and they take these, or Alabama, and they take these huge hits from hunting pressure, then you throw on top of that the habitat development and the habitat loss. I mean, you're looking at what could very well be an ecological crisis.
Heck yeah.
Wow.
Because I did a little project on the timber rattlesnake, and I was looking at the populations and stuff, like compared to like maybe like 50, 60 years ago compared to now. I mean, it's changed a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's changed a little bit.
Yeah. You know, I wish that timbers were protected all throughout their range. Sadly, there's still a game animal in Oklahoma, and which Oklahoma has a fairly stable population of them. They're just hard to find. But they were protected in Texas, and then Texas delisted them recently.
So how do you like? All right, so I gotta ask. So what do you consider? Like, do you consider the cane break and the timber two different snakes, or do you consider them to kind of be the same thing, just a locality deal?
I consider them the same thing, just to be a locality deal. For years, science recognized them as two separate species. Many people still hold on to that. To me, they're kind of biologically, they seem to be pretty close to the same snake, whether you find them in New York or Pennsylvania, or whether you find them in Arkansas or Alabama.
Yeah.
So my personal opinion would be they would be the same, but I've seen people argue for 4 days and nights over this
Yes.
on Facebook or on some of the Venomous forums, and some of the people feel that, you know, the southern cane breaks are definitely a distinct separate species. But you know, I don't personally feel that they are. But you know, there's also a lot of people disagree with me. So
Same. Because I mean, I feel like they're the same. They look exactly the same. They can breed together. They produce the same kind of snake. There's viable offspring. I mean,
right.
what more can you ask for?
That's what I would think. So, but once again, you know, there's, like I said, there's a lot of opinions. You know, back a few years back, we used to have the black rat snake in Oklahoma, and now they got reclassified as the western rat snake. And there's a lot of people that still will call them black rat snakes. Don't think it should changed. They think they're separate species from the Texas rat snake. You know, those arguments are going to be with us for some time. So, you know, I definitely, you know, have my own opinions about it, but 9 out of 10, I keep them to myself because I don't want to argue for half the day, you know. I'd rather get out in the field and go herping.
But I got to get back out there. I'm definitely I'm make another trip back out there, maybe once or twice, see what I can come up with. Because I found a couple good spots like next to the river. You can kind of go walk around out there in the creek swamp. I'm hoping maybe I can come up with something. Seen some water. I think I came across a water snake.
I was going to ask you, Jose, when I first started watching your channel, you were doing some herping videos, and then they just stopped.
Yeah, because I mean, it wasn't really getting any traction. Like, I was like, well, these videos not really doing that well, so let me try something else.
Right. I feel you.
And then, like, you know, a lot of times, I mean, the herping, it was fun because I would like to just go out and do it versus trying to videotape stuff all the time. Because sometimes I would go out and wouldn't find anything.
Right.
So I have to haul all that stuff out there for no reason. So I just rather do it for fun versus trying to film it for somebody.
Well, and a lot of what I do with my videos, especially with like the stuff I shoot in the field, is I have like a modified selfie stick, and I just use my iPhone. You know, because a lot of times a snake's going to get away from you, or you have to catch it and get it to calm down. And so it's like, I generally, like, I have a Sony AX53 I shoot some of my videos with, but a lot of my ground footage of rattlesnakes I actually shoot with like my iPhone on a selfie stick kind of contraption.
I wondered
So-
what you had because some of them you're right in their face, and I was like, "How close is Todd really to the snake?" Because it looked like the
I'll be
camera was
wondering
like
too.
3 inches from his face, like the camera could almost tongue flick that lens.
Todd's not close at all. The iPhone may be.
Okay,
But yeah, but it's and I also, I do some stuff with my Sony AX53, which has been a good handy cam. It's not that great for photographs. It's good for video, and a lot of times with that I can use the zoom feature and not lose a lot of quality.
Mhm.
So it just kind of depends on the species and what you're taping and why. A lot of times I find stuff when I'm not expecting to find it. Last night I went out on a drive and we went road cruising, and I kept waiting for the temperature to drop because I normally see things in Oklahoma between the temperatures of like 80 and 75. That's when I notice the most movement in the areas that are close to my house. And so things started moving. It was like 82 degrees and things started moving. We found 5 snakes, which I honestly thought we were going to find one. And we're going to be lucky to find that one. We ended up actually finding 5. So,
Flexing Pythons, thank you for your service.
Hell yeah, for sure.
yes, thank you, Flex and Pythons.
Todd, you were in the service, right?
No, I was not.
Okay.
I tried to get in, and they wouldn't let me when I was 18 because I had scoliosis. I had back surgery when I was younger.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, they were picky. I know you're closer to my age, and when I went in 93, there were there were so many things you could get disqualified for. And now, though, they look over a lot of that stuff.
Well, I tried to get in 90 when I graduated from high school because
I graduated in 93.
I literally wanted to be the guy that went and killed, Gaddafi. I wanted to be the dude.
Yeah.
I'd watched one too many episodes of Rambo or something. But
I was around the Desert Storm time, and I went straight to the Army because I wanted to go over there and fight them too.
That's what my dad.
I tell you, Dragon. A funny thing is fast forward to 2009. I'm graduating with my bachelor's in accounting from Northeastern State in Oklahoma. I get a call from an Army recruiter, and they're like, "We want you to join the Army." And I'm like, okay, if you wouldn't take me when I was 18 and in good shape, why would you want me now that I'm like 36 and broken down? And they're like, "Well, didn't you just graduate from college?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not 22. I'm not."
Adults go back to school, moron.
Adults go back to school, yeah, and it was kind of a funny moment. So
that's funny because I forgot you're in Oklahoma now, right? That's where
yeah.
Because I did my boot camp and served at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I was in and around Lawton for a while there.
It's a great place, great area.
Yeah.
Wichita Mountains are down there, and that's like a rattlesnake haven.
Yeah, really beautiful place. It's funny because I didn't see, it was funny because I did a lot of camping, Boy Scouts and church groups, stuff like that growing up. But that was the first time I remember the very first time we went bivouac. It was like day 4 or 5 of boot camp, and they basically said, "Here's your half of a tent, and your battle buddy has the other half of the tent." And me and this other guy were looking at each other, and he was kind of a city boy, and he'd never been camping, and we're looking at each other like, "Well, who's got the bottom? If there's only 2 of us camping, and we got 2 sides, who's got the bottom?" And they're like, "Oh, there is no bottom. Like, you snap your sides together, you put it up, you each have a pole and a tent and a piece of rope, and you sleep on the ground." And I was like, "What? Like, we're in Oklahoma. There's snakes, there's tarantulas, like sleeping on the ground." And they were like, "Yeah, that's how you get down, buddy." And I never saw the first snake when we were out in the field, but tarantulas all the time. And we had a couple of drill sergeants that would get them and put them on the table and let them climb around on their uniforms. And I was always like, no way. But they would use it to intimidate the guys a lot of times.
That's funny. Funny. We do have a lot of tarantulas out here. They're all those hensies, the Texas Browns. I've had like 5 on my back porch since I moved over to this new house I just recently moved, and I moved closer to the lake, and anywhere around a lake in Oklahoma, you're going to have a lot of tarantulas.
I would shit a freaking brick, Todd, if I walked out my house and I had a tarantula.
Well,
no.
Another
We ain't
little
got
funny
none of that
story.
here.
is we used to, when we go on bivouac too, we always had to build 2 foxholes at the beginning and the entrance of the camp. And so then you would have these rotations where 2 guys would have to stand down in this foxhole that's about a 4 or 5 foot deep hole where you're about shoulder high. And we would literally not pay any attention. The drill sergeants would try to sneak up on us because you had this thing where they would have to holler out and you would have to ask for a password and this whole deal that during training you would have to learn. And so they would constantly be trying to sneak up, but the guys were always getting surprised because the 2 guys in the foxhole were way more worried about watching for tarantulas trying to climb down in that hole with us than we were about the drill sergeant sneaking up on our position. For sure.
That's funny stuff.
That's funny. Oh no.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not a spider person. Like, I think they cool. I like looking at them from a distance. I've been contemplating getting one for a pet, but tarantulas freak me out, man. They huge spiders.
Well, yeah, but they're easy to see.
Yeah, but still.
That handles them regularly on their channels and stuff ever get bit. Like, I've seen guys get bit by their snakes, but I've never seen anybody get bit by their tarantulas.
Because I'll be like, I freaked out one day because I was sitting there, I was running through the woods, wasn't paying attention, and you know we got banana spiders real bad, or like golden orb weavers, whatever you want to call them.
Big ones. They'll sit on
Holy
the web
shit!
Bounce their webs sometimes too.
I freaked the fuck out because that shit was on top of me. I was, oh shit, because it was, and you know they get huge, like
yeah, those orb spiders. Yeah, but they're harmless. I mean,
yeah, but still.
I get the wolf spiders. Unfortunately, my apartment is ground level, and especially when it rains in the summer, it's like the water pushes them right into my apartment, and I'll find these big 1.5-inch long wolf spiders running across the carpet all the time.
We have a large population of brown recluse spiders here in Oklahoma. We also have the black widow, but we have a ton of brown recluse, and you know, and people don't get bit by them as often as that they're made out to be. But
yeah, they're supposed to be common here, and I do know. But I'm 46 years old, and my whole life here, I've known 2 people that have been bitten by a brown recluse.
Well, like when I moved out of my old house, I've got 2 videos on my channel of 2 different brown recluse we found. We found like 5 just moving stuff out of my garage. I mean, they're like the Oklahoma State bird or something. I mean. You know, I've got a friend who just moved down here from Pennsylvania, and her saying is everything down here is poisonous and it will kill you. So,
speaking, like, funny enough, like you probably won't believe me, but I actually did this. I used to collect black widows and ticks for the college for Georgia Southern.
Oh, that's cool.
Because they you don't know, they have the United States National Tick Collection here.
Oh, wow.
And they also collect the spiders for venom and things like that too. So,
right,
anytime like I would find them in my house and stuff, I would always capture them and go take them up there to them. So it's real cool. I got to go in there and tour around with some of that stuff and play around, look at some of the specimens they got, and it's crazy.
I just noticed Todd has the QT cup. I know Desert Wolf's tripping on that. Yeah, Clint from Clint's Reptiles has pet black widows.
Dude, what's his name? My Animal House. He has one. He has a praying mantis.
Well, he also has a
He has huntsman spiders too.
Yeah, he got I think Iron Dog has a centipede.
Yeah, that came from my house.
Really?
Yeah, he told me. I watched the video where he said that was crawling across Todd's carpet. I remember that.
Oh God.
I forgot. I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, actually, it's with laminate. It's not carpet.
Oh, okay. Well, your floor. You're right. He said crawling across your floor. I missed.
Yeah. Okay. So Iron Dog is telling people that Todd Autry has carpet. Okay.
No, I misspoke. He said across your floor. He did not say carpet. I didn't. I put words in the man's mouth. I apologize.
You're fine. No, yeah. My wife came in from groceries, from shopping for groceries the other day. She's like, Todd, what's that? And I was like half asleep in my chair watching a game or something, and I was like, "What's what?" And it was like this.
What's what?
It's like this 12-inch, you know, Heroes Scolopendra Heroes centipede. And funny enough, like me and Desert Wolf had went out in this area like 2 months earlier looking for him and flipping rocks for him because he wanted one too. And and here's one that shows up. It's just crawling across the floor in my house, and I'm sitting there going, good grief. So I threw it in a bucket and I messaged Iron Dog and I said, man, do you want this thing? And he's like, man, I'll be right over, because Iron Dog just lives down the street.
Well, first of all, mad props to your wife, because any of the women in my life, and I'm talking about any of the women in my life, sleeping in a chair outside or across the state, I would have heard them screaming immediately. There would have been no slow or notification other than a loud, shrill scream if they would have seen that thing on the floor anywhere I was around.
Right. Well, my wife, luckily, she's from the country too, and so she's kind of used to these things and doesn't freak out real easily. Although,
so is that native to
you? Your version of country
that centipede is native to you, to your where you live?
Yeah, totally native. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I've got like copperheads in my backyard and stuff. I mean, it's just.
So now let me ask you this. I've heard when I was in boot camp, a lot of people that lived around Oklahoma, and especially people like in Arizona and New Mexico, they would tell me that they would put their beds inside of glass jars, or the bed posts, like the feet of their bed, inside glass jars or containers, so that scorpions and centipedes could not climb up the legs of their beds.
I've heard of people doing that.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea, but
I've heard of people doing that with their enclosures outside, because I'd had a worry about building an enclosure outside, and here in North Carolina, I'm worried about ants climbing up the legs of the enclosure and getting in there with the lizard. But somebody said, put the legs of the enclosure inside of glass jars or buckets and put a little bit of, insecticide inside of there, and I'll never have to worry about them climbing up into the enclosures.
Hey, quick second. Let me run this real quick for the people with the super chat. So just want to show you guys a little appreciation. Awesome. I threw this something a little together for you guys. So here we go. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, guys. So we appreciate you guys for doing all the super chats and all that stuff in the comments and all. We really appreciate it. So that's just a little something for you guys. We'll have something more coming out too.
That was awesome, cool. That was awesome.
That's cool.
But heck yeah, like I don't know, like Todd, your version of country and my version of country, totally two different things. Because boy, I freak out, man. We have millipedes though. We do have millipedes.
I get them, and sometimes they rolled up on my carpet. It's funny. My dog goes after them.
Well, you've probably got more stuff around, Josue, than you think. You just haven't seen it yet.
I think we do have centipedes, but I think they're really small ones. They're not like the big giant ones like that, though.
Yeah, these suckers, the heroes are I know they're common throughout the Southwest, and I want to say I had a friend that got stung by one time. And we were out flipping rocks, and he flipped it and tried to catch it, and he didn't realize that it could sting him, and it stung him. So,
oh yeah,
it's just like, oh boy. But yeah, there's believe me, there's all kinds of animals around you that you're probably not aware of if you don't spend a lot of time outside.
Mm-hmm.
People a lot of times. I don't consider myself at all a really good field herper. I just spend a lot of time outside doing, certain things. There's a lot of people in Oklahoma that find, things like scarlet snakes on the regular, milk snakes in the middle of winter, things like that. I mean, we have some really top-notch field herpers in the state. But one thing that, people always ask me about field herping is how do you get lucky? How do you find copperheads? How do you find rattlesnakes? And
you got to be out there.
You got to be out there, and it's the time. The more time you spend outside, the more you're going to see. Sure. It's the great equalizer. There's no amount of skill that can top the amount of time that you spend outside in the habitat. There is some research and things like, like people use different tools. Some people use INAT, some people hate it, some people are really down on it. I've used it before. It's a tool you can kind of get a general idea for an area for like what species is where. I've been after a Western Massasauga this month pretty hard. I keep striking out, but I also keep working the roads where I know they're at. And I know they're there, and I won't find one, but 2 nights later, one of my friends finds one on the same road. So it's the amount of time you're out there, and that's why generally with us moving into this house over here, I've kind of been a little more homebound than I normally would be. Normally, you can't even find me until it starts getting hot in the middle of summer and things start going back underground, which we're getting there close out here. So,
Did you see Flex and Python's Josue? Oh, what happened to Josue?
I'm still here.
He says, I enjoy hearing the sound of sweet tea in voices again. Oh, that's a good one.
oh gosh, that's funny.
So I got to ask Todd. Hold on, let me switch to my other mic. Give me a second. Put that plug.
Okay.
Get low on the runtime whenever it starts to get to that 2 hour mark. You can't stay on there without the battery plugged in. But we'll have to make it work. So, but yeah, so out of all my herping experience, the two coolest things we came across was I found an actual corn snake, and then we found a glass lizard. So, I mean, they nothing really too significant, but still, like actually finding one out in the wild. A lot of people don't know like corn snakes are native to like Georgia and snow, so that's why we can't legally own a corn snake because it lives here.
Right.
So, what is your like top snake? Like, what's your favorite find that you came across herping?
Probably a prairie rattlesnake. Those have been probably my favorites. I find a lot more atrox than I do prairies. Prairies aren't real common in Oklahoma. They're only in the far western reaches of the state. So that's kind of been my top field find. I actually came across a dead glass lizard last night when we were out road cruising, and if I'd have been on that road 30 minutes sooner, I would have found it alive. And so that was kind of sad. But glass lizards are fairly common where I'm at, so we've seen them. But I definitely always enjoy finding an adult bull snake. Adult bull snakes are so entertaining.
That'd be cool.
You just they usually try to get away from you, but if you grab them a few times and make them sit still for some pictures, they're going to go into a defensive display. Eastern hognose, that's another favorite. I've been trying to find a western or dusty hognose. I think the western like split into two species recently.
I can't find one. I look for them too.
Yeah, and the westerns are like harder to find than the easterns, at least for me. I usually see a few easterns every year, and they're always fun because of the little display they do. But I'd say those three are probably my top finds. I'd really like to find like an alligator snapping turtle.
Oh, I found one time. I was out there on campus, and I used to do parking and transportation, and I was riding around the wildlife center, and they got a huge pond out there, and it happened to be crossing the road. My ass jumped out of that truck as fast as I could, and I grabbed it. And I'm talking about this wasn't no little one either. He's about yay big. I mean, the shell on him was about that big. So I went out there and grabbed him, and I was like, "You can't grab him no certain way now, because he'll bite your fucking fingers off." So
yeah, they will.
Yeah.
I tell you, I've got some video coming up of I was road cruising up north of here, up by the Kansas border, and I find probably a large female common snapping turtle, not an alligator, but a common snapping turtle crossing the road. So I'm thinking the way traffic moves down this road, it's going to get hit. So I make sure the coast is clear. And I jump out to grab the turtle. And I've done this 100 times in my life. And I've never had one like jump up at me and like snap at me. Yeah, this thing caught air. It came probably about 3-4 inches off the ground.
Holy shit.
If you don't believe me, the video is coming up. You can see it for yourself.
I'd have freaked out.
I mean, like,
hey, Mr. Derek.
I've never seen a turtle jump before.
Yeah,
he said ball python love looks different. I'm dead. A turtle jump, like, yeah, I can't wait to see that video because
it's going to be entertaining. Trust me.
A turtle catching air, except for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I ain't seen that before.
But believe me, you're going to like it, and I expect to get some good numbers on it. Because it makes me look stupid. It makes me look like I'm scared of a freaking common snapping turtle when, like, I work with everything else venomous.
Have you, I don't know how much you watch at Clint's Reptiles, but he has a big snapping turtle named Bubba Chunk, and he's worked with him for years and years, and I've never seen anything like it. He can let that turtle walk around the floor while he's sitting Indian style, and he will let that turtle go behind his back all around him. That turtle has never struck or tried to bite him ever. He can rub it on his chin. He can rub it on top of his head. Like, it's completely docile with him.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
You should check out Coyote Peterson. He got a video that
I saw his.
Oh God, dude! He was bold on that one. You seen that Dragon Whisperer?
No, I haven't seen that. I have to check it out.
Watch that tonight. You'll type in like Coyote Peterson, like Brave Wilderness, and like snapping turtle bite.
I watched a lot of his videos.
He put like some kind of like wooden thing on his arm. The turtle bit completely around it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'd have freaked out like he did. I don't know about you.
He's kind of crazy. He's kind of crazy.
I'm crazy, but I ain't that crazy. Like,
I'm not that crazy.
I like to go fishing, but I would never go noodling kind of crazy.
Yeah, nope. Not reaching my holes in any deep dark holes down in a riverbank. No, sir. Nope. Call me crazy, but nope.
A lot of my friends out here in Oklahoma go noodling, and I'm just like, no.
I'll watch.
I've done a lot of things that people say is crazy. I mean, like I said, I started in the military. I commercial fished. I've been in some terrible waters. I've done a lot of crazy stuff, but I would not stick my hand in a deep, dark hole under the water that I can't see. No, sir.
Right. That's my take. I like my hands. I want to.
I mean, my fingers are real important. There's a lot of stuff that I would have a hard time doing if I just lost one or two of them. And
I'm trying to.
Nope. And there's absolutely nothing in this entire world, as much as I love reptiles, that I'm going to pull out of that hole that's going to risk me wanting to lose one or two of my fingers, unless there's some kind of fairy tale that comes true and there's bags of diamonds that people start finding in them holes. I might start taking a chance, but until then, nope.
Yeah, I'm good on that one. But anyway, back to the reptile subject.
A lot of people go noodling in Oklahoma. I mean, it's just a lot of people do it, and I'm just like, no, I'll pass.
They pull out some monster fish now.
Oh yeah,
they do get some monster, like 50, 75 like pound catfish. Like,
you're right.
Now, what's the closest you get back to the herping? What's the closest you've ever had to a close call with a venomous, Todd?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. Seems like I mean, I don't know. It's really, there's not one incident that sticks out at me.
I mean, I'm assuming you're so careful all the time that.
Well, yeah, but there's also a lot you don't see. And there's anytime you're working with rattlesnakes, it's potentially a close call because a large atrox will definitely hold its ground on you if you kind of corner it, which is kind of what I do to try and get him to stay still or to get him to pose or just to get him to be there. But it's like there's been times where like I've like had bites like on probably around the ankle or the lower part of my leg, but I was wearing boots so they didn't go through. I've had some experiences like that. I've done a lot of rock flipping where like I flip a rock and there's like a timber rattlesnake underneath it, and it could have hit me, but it didn't. and it was just like, it was cold, so it was like real inactive, and it just, for some reason, it could have struck me, but it didn't. And just a lot. There's been a lot of different close calls. I mean, and that's kind of the thing, is you have to learn how to expect the risk, expect to get hit, expect what's going to happen if, and it's definitely something that you keep in the back of your mind at all times. Like last night, my friend who I was with had never seen a cottonmouth before. And I said, well, it's, hang on a second. And so we jumped out of the truck and ran up the road to look at it. Well, here comes a car the other way. Well, I took the lid of the bucket, because I had a bucket with me, and just scooped the cottonmouth up with the bucket lid and flung it into the bucket. And she's like, that's the most redneck shit I ever saw. And I'm sitting there going, it's just, this is how we do things here in Oklahoma. And and technically could have probably, I wouldn't say I could have gotten nailed, impossibility, but at the same time, it's just kind of knowing the snakes and their behavior, and how to act around them and stuff, and we kept it from getting run over, and we got some pictures of it, so all's well. But it's just, you just kind of got to know how to do things, and part of how you learn how to do things is like, I like Tyler's method, or what he said about get something like a racer and go a year without getting bit, and moving it only with hooks and never with your hands, and then you're ready to go into something like Venomous.
Man, them damn racers ain't no joke. I mean, I've went out and we've caught them in the wild, and like I picked them up and like grabbed them real quick, and I guess it stunned them, but like they'll start doing the whole like defecating, and then the the other stuff and all. But I don't know. I have seen him bite the shit out of somebody. He bit the shit out of one of the people we was with.
I've got a video on my channel of an eastern yellow-bellied racer. Actually, it's my friend Kevin. He's got two of them, and one of them just starts biting the fire out of him at one point. And it's just, and they're just, water snakes are the same. If you grab a water snake, it's going to bite you. And I've got that video on my channel of where I'm technically letting a water snake bite me for a lot of it. And it was kind of going to be a B video. It was like, I didn't really even want to release it, but I thought this is a good video to illustrate the triangle shaped head, and how non-venomous snakes can have that too. So it's not a good identifier. And then that video took off as one of my most popular videos. And I'm sitting there going,
because the best way, like I know, is like if you have to look, if you can get up close enough and like in a safe distance, like look at their eyes. Because I know like the cottonmouths, they normally have they have the slits because they're more nocturnal versus your water snakes, like they got the round pupils.
Well, right, but let me ask you this: you go to my channel, you can see a copperhead with round pupils. Because at night their pupils dilate just like ours.
Well, that's true, yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of things. What I kind of try to teach people is become familiar with your native venomous and the ones that you have in your area, and once you know what those look like, almost anything else you don't have to worry about. And generally, I preach coexistence. I don't like to remove snakes from people's property. I will if it's a choice between the snake getting killed or whichever, but but at the same time, it's like there's going to be other snakes there. I mean, if copperheads are there, if rattlesnakes are there, they're there for a reason. You've got some good habitat. You live close to a body of water. There's all these other factors that you're still going to have snakes. I can come get those 3 copperheads that are on your front porch, but it's like, why? You're just going to have more next year. It's like,
yeah, right.
I mean, it's just like you need to get you a pair of like tall boots or something, and then just wear those outside. Most of the bites we have around here, we get a lot of copperhead bites around here. They're a very common prevalent snake that goes out and hunts. So they get on the move. We've got a lot of timber rattlesnakes around here, but you don't see them out moving like you do copperheads. So what happens is people go out in their driveway at night, and there'll be a copperhead in their driveway, and they're like wearing flip flops or something. They step on it. Well, the only copperhead, the only
Instant.
defense it has is to bite you. And so, and I don't really blame the copperhead. I do blame you for going outside in snake country wearing flip flops. I mean, I kind of think, the responsibility's on us to do what we need to do to keep the wildlife safe and keep wildlife wild, So.
True that.
Yep.
That is a true statement. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, they're not out to get us because they think that we're all predators because we're all bigger than them. Like that's the only defense they have is to bite, and they're venomous. So I mean, that's their, like you said, that's what they have to do.
Well, and
but
I've also often wondered if when a snake sees a human approach, they know they have venom. They know it's a weapon, but they also know that it's successful on prey items, frogs, mice, things like this. I mean, there's a lot of things that venom doesn't work on. Hawks and owls eat venomous snakes all the time. And maybe the venom works on them, but it won't stop them from preying on them. So,
no,
life's not easy for them either. So, I'm just trying to get people to realize, like you said, they're not out to get us. I've got 1,000,001 this cottonmouth chased me type stories. And I'm sitting here thinking, wouldn't that be so cool? Trying to photograph these animals and they actually come up to you. You don't have to jump out of the truck, run down the road, get the snake, catch it, flip it back up on the road, or flip it back on a rock where you can see it. It would be so much nicer if snakes actually did chase you, but they don't.
Because if they run at you, they're probably, I guarantee you standing there, they're probably going right past you, if they even want to come your way.
Well, and I've been fishing before, like down on the Deep Fork River down here in central Oklahoma, and I've noticed that a cottonmouth will swim right in front of you or swim like right between your legs, and you're sitting there like you're wearing waders, so and I'm like not worried. I'm just and so I kind of get this idea that they may sometimes be oblivious to you, and they just want to get back to their dry spot on the bank, but yet I can see where someone who's scared of them and has been taught to fear them thinks, oh, it's chasing me. I mean,
true.
I would go look at Ori Martin's video called Chased by a Nest of Cottonmouths. He hasn't made a video in about 3 or 4 years now, but he was a great video maker back in the early days of YouTube herping. Ori Martin's Chased by a Nest of Cottonmouths. It's a really entertaining clip where he interacts with a bunch of different cottonmouths and never gets chased.
So what do y'all, trout fish or salmon fish or something up there?
Who are you talking to?
No, I'm talking to you, Todd. Like, do y'all trout fish, salmon fish? Like, what kind of fishing y'all do up there?
A lot of catfishing, bass fishing, crappie fishing. There are a few places in the state where trout have been introduced and walleye have been introduced for the purposes of fishing. But generally around here, it's mostly bass and catfish and crappie. The 3 main targets.
It's about the same.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know, because that's a little bit further up north. I know they kind of got a little bit different fishes and stuff. Further up north you go with that.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta get up further into the northwest before you start finding things like salmon and indigenous trout and things like that. There may be native trout in Missouri, but I want to say the ones in Oklahoma, to the best of my knowledge, were introduced. So.
See what we got going on here in the chat. Let's just Sherry. She said, I thought they were waiting for the motherships to come and get them for major revolution. Desnakeveration. Oh, the Great. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Every summer, my parents live in a neighborhood that's a recent development, and probably 3 or 4 years ago, and now I think the copperheads. There's a creek and kind of swampy area behind it, and I think now the snakes that got pushed out of that area are starting to make their way back into the neighborhood. And it's funny because the copperheads have particularly like to get a lot of the yards have like a flowery or a natural area in the front yard that has pine straw, and for whatever reason the copperheads love to get in that pine straw and kind of nest in there. And so now for the last 2 summers, it's like a lot of retired people that live in that neighborhood, and they have like the copperhead watch now, and it's like, okay, I saw a copperhead in my yard this day, and they put it on the neighborhood website, and then 3 or 4 days later, oh, I saw one 2 doors down, and then it's like people won't let their grandchildren go out and play and ride their bikes. Like, it's turned into this whole thing, and I'm like, they're not going to come after anybody. Like, as long as you're aware and you watch for them, like, you can just resume your normal life. But it's become this thing in the neighborhood now, like the copperhead watch. Like, it's ridiculous.
You mind if I ask, like, what state or what area?
North Carolina.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Jamestown is kind of a suburb of Greensboro,
right?
And unfortunately, a lot of them are the older, like they grew up. Like my dad grew up with the only good snake is a dead snake mentality, and he's just now starting to like ball pythons and accept them as not being bitey and mean. But he still grew up, and most of the people in that neighborhood have that mentality.
Well, and stay after the ball pythons. I mean, because sometimes it's like my wife. She definitely wasn't fond of snakes until she got around me.
Yeah.
And my niece, like that's
the gateway snake.
Right. Yeah, I have a niece, and she would be like, she'd used to kill snakes when she'd see them, and I would be like, hold on, let me show you this. I'd just walk over. It's a garter snake. I'd pick it up. I'd toss it over the fence. I'd be like, it's gone. And she became enamored with them later. And so, like, anytime someone has a large Burmese, she has to get her picture taken with it or something. And it's just like, this from someone who used to kill snakes. I mean, you have to realize that you might be the person that helps someone get over their fear. And And that's what I want to do with venomous snakes, is just show people that if you stay away from them and leave them alone, you're generally not going to have any problems. I mean, you can definitely...
people that mess with them is the one that goes and gets bit because you're out there bothering with them.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have a lot of what are known as purely accidental bites in Oklahoma, and how toxicologists rate these things is a little different, because like a lot of people get bites to their extremities, and it's kind of a case where, like, yeah, it was a pure accident, but also it was a preventable one. Like, like what I said, people go outside at night wearing flip-flops. Well, I mean, if you were wearing cowboy boots and a foot-long copperhead bit you, its fangs are not going to go through those boots. If you're careful with stuff on the ground, and you lift things up with a garden tool instead of just reaching under there with your hand, a lot of people get bit that way. We get a lot of kids down in central Oklahoma get bit by pygmy rattlesnakes. And that's just because they probably pick them up thinking they're a worm, because these things are tiny. And there's a very, very healthy population of them down there. We are like the western pygmy rattlesnake capital of the world. Down here in south central Oklahoma, they're one of our most common species. So you do have people run into them, and but there's a lot of snake bites that could be prevented by you not trying to kill them, you leaving them alone, and you just being careful and using common sense.
Agreed.
So I mean,
but like you said, that's the main thing. As long as you leave them alone, you don't bother with them, stay away from them. Like I said, the only thing they do is kill rats and eat rats.
Right.
What do you always say, Josue, that you got told? Stay out of strike zone?
Yeah, stay out the strike zone. As long as you stay out the strike zone, everything will be all right. Wise words of Venom Wonderful.
Well, and there's a lot of logic in that. And if people don't understand that, ask them if they know to not walk behind a horse.
There you go.
It's the exact same principle. I was thinking about that earlier. Because it's like the exact same principle. If you walk far enough behind a horse that it can't kick you, it's not going to kick you.
That's right.
And I was correlating that to someone else earlier about how you want to stay out of where the animal can envenomate you. I mean, you just wasps and bees are scarier than venomous snakes to me.
Yeah, a lot hard time getting away from them.
Right. I mean, it's just I don't know. I just grew up around them and things, so they're always going to be a part of my life. Hopefully, till I'm gone, and I hope so. So,
one thing, if you want to learn a random fact about Josue, I am definitely afraid of large farm animals. So horses and cows, I am definitely afraid of. Like, I went to a milk farm when I was a kid, and my first interaction when the cow went up to go pet it, and I had that thing lick the side of my face from the bottom of my neck to the top of my head.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Okay, out here we have these things called rodeos.
I've been to one.
I was gonna say, riding a bull now that's some scary stuff.
I love watching it now, but I don't want to interact with it.
I got a cousin that lives in Utah, and he's a power lifter, and he rides bulls for fun.
Yeah,
I think he's crazy.
But we got chickens. My parents have chickens, but like I can deal with those little things like that. But cows and horses, nah, I'm good.
I got you.
I have an aversion to putting my mouth near horses, my fingers near horses' mouths. My grandpa used to raise them, and I heard some stories about people getting their fingers bitten off. But I used to help a guy I went to high school with. He had a farm. We used to help them. They used to leave the cows loose in the woods a lot of the year. And when they went to round them up for slaughter, we'd have to get the cows out of the woods, get them in the corral, and separate the ones they wanted out. And that was a lot of fun. Like being in the corral, and sometimes every now and then a steer would charge you, and you'd have to jump up on the gate. And it was just like adrenaline. It was like, I used to love it. It was probably one of my favorite jobs growing up. But when you were out in the open field though, and a cow rushed you, it was pretty freaking scary. Like
I've been fishing in a cow pasture, and it was like that. And like I was in the cow pasture, and they surrounded the entire pond, and I couldn't even get out for like an hour. I was not about to mess with those cows.
That can be scary. The only thing. The thing you have to remember is that, especially if you're the least bit athletic, that you're way quicker side to side than they are. So you just have to be man enough to wait till the last second and then sidestep really quick. And then after a few minutes, they'll tire out and decide that you're not worth the effort. And then you can go about your way. But it is pretty hectic there and anxious for a minute or two till they give up.
Yeah, Ball Python.
Oh, BPL's here.
Saying drop the link.
Yeah,
I'm about to send it to him now.
And, I'm a bad co-host because we rolled right past the second shout-outs too.
Oh no, it's all good, man. We kind of.
Yeah, I don't think you did the P&E. I don't know if you did. You do your Patreon and stuff earlier.
We working on still doing some more kinks with that. We can't. We were trying to figure out this email situation with it because like BPL will have to like sign in on the email and all kind of shit. It's weird. I don't know. Because with me starting in here, he tried to sign into it, and it's on a completely different device, and it was like you got to sign into the email and verify that kind of shit. With the
I got you. Todd said he'll be right back.
But heck yeah, man! Like, dude, that right there was probably the scariest thing I ever had to deal with. Was whenever I went fishing and them damn cows surrounded the freaking pond. I was oh no, man. See, that's why I don't be messing with these cows. My mom is sitting there laughing. They won't do nothing to you. Bullshit.
I've seen a cow run somebody down before, and And what's funny is that a cow, like the way they attack is if they try to get you on the ground, and then they'll put their head on you, and they'll literally like go down on their front knees, and they'll try to literally like mash you into the ground. Like that's what they'll do to other cows they're fighting with, or if they get you on the ground. Like actually the governor, I don't know, one of the governors of North Carolina, Governor Hunt, years and years ago, he had a cattle farm, and he had a mama cow run him down and hurt him bad.
I'm late to the PD
Hey,
show.
what's up,
I'm
BPL?
the PD show. I was out with my son at Chuck E. Cheese. It was fun but horrible at the same time. Glad that shit's over with. Don't have to do that for another 364 fucking days. And my wife just smacked me, but I'm stoked. And here we are.
Awesome.
Heck yeah. We got a surprise visit from Ball Python Love.
I heard a rumor that you might be partaking of some edibles at the party.
I did take some edibles, actually.
He's in there with tripping balls.
Dude, those the anime robotic things I got.
Did you play some video games?
No, I watched my son, my oldest son. My youngest, though, he was running around with my younger brother. And, yeah, no, dude, it was fun, but it was hell at the same time.
That's funny.
That shit tripped me the fuck out, though, sitting there on some edibles. Oh, shit, we lost. But, like, the eyeballs all move, and, like, it's not even moving on stage. I'm like, what the hell is this shit?
That's funny.
Where'd Todd go? What's up?
I think he had to go real quick.
It's because I'm here.
Yeah, he said, be right back, but then he put in the chat, I gotta go. Thank you for having me. So, I guess he's out.
Appreciate you stopping by, Todd, though, for real. That was cool and chatting it up with him, man, for a little while. So we got BPL and Dragon Whisperer.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
So, so how was it, man? Like, was it pretty dope getting to hang out there and, do Chuck E. Cheese stuff? They have some cool games.
No, dude, I just followed my son around. It was all right. It was just fucking.
Man, I'd have whooped his ass in skee ball, left and right.
So, the stupid little, I don't know, before, like, I guess when I was younger, I guess it was like tokens. Now it's like this wristband shit. Like, I saw it last time with my son. I was like, whatever. Hit my oldest son, and I was like, whatever. And this time it was like full wristband type thing, and it was so weird. I was like, whatever. But I'm glad that shit's over with. Once again, 364 days. I don't have to go through that hell for 364 more days. Dude, those fucking eyeballs are all moving while you're sitting there, and like the stage is off. There's nothing like going on, and the eyes just start moving on those like robot things. Like, I was like, what the hell's going on?
Oh, shit.
It's all fuck, man.
We got Derek's reptiles up here, though.
What's up, Derek? I had to stop in before the show ended, even though it's about to come to an end. But I had to show in and be like, my bad. But I had fun with my son. But it was hell at the same time.
Oh, man. While we here, let me go ahead and play this and tell me what you think of it. Add some music to it now. Hold on. Let me get Derek's thing off of the screen. Desert Wolf Armory is back. So yeah, check this out. Booyah.
Badass, dude.
Oh yeah. Got a little music, and it won't be copyrighted because I made sure to take care of that.
Sweet, sweet. So tomorrow back on your channel again, like I said.
Well, that's up to you. We do have I told the Stanley
Tomorrow
Reptile crew is going to be on here tomorrow, so I got to get that set up.
tomorrow will be on your channel, like it should have been tonight. What should have been on mine, but I had stuff to go do with my kid and one of my kids. And yeah, so tomorrow your channel. Wednesday we'll go back on, Wednesday we'll go back on mine.
Sorry, guys. I had to spray some gecko tanks.
So, how's your ball pythons doing, Dragon Whisperer? By the way.
Oh, he's doing. Oh man, I got the echo because I got my thing on. He's actually doing a lot better. It's pretty amazing. I'm sure BP already knows this, and you know this, but those were just abrasions when I took him to the vet. Those were just abrasions from the stones I had in there, and he already put like literally 2 days after those abrasions started like fully developed. He put himself through shed and did a complete full body shed, and like they were like 50% better after that shed. Like they already looked they were half healed already. So I think one more shed they'll be gone. But I offered him a ASF again the other day, and he still didn't take it. And it's been 2 more days, so I might try to feed him again tonight. But he still hasn't ate for me. It's been almost 3 weeks I've had him.
Oh, that's fine, bro. Like, man,
but I know he'll be all right.
Yeah, if it gets like 2 and 3 months, then I'd be a little bit more worried. But like most times,
the vet said that abrasion and healing that abrasion would be kind of stressing him out too, and probably wouldn't make him want to eat until he got that healed. So.
Shit, dude, my normal Daisy, she went off of food for like 3.5 months. Look, she's not even a big girl, but it's like a year and a couple months maybe now. I mean,
but I do have some really exciting news I do want to share with everybody. Yesterday, my bearded dragon, and people don't beat me up for having these all in the same container right now because my incubator's not going to be ready till tomorrow for the dragon eggs. But my female bearded dragon laid a clutch last night, and unfortunately she laid 20 freaking eggs, and unfortunately 14 of them were duds. But I have 6 fertile, beautiful bearded dragon eggs that are from my citrus blue bar and my leatherback, and I also found 4 more crested gecko eggs from my beautiful crested gecko breeders today. So I have 14 eggs now in the incubation box, getting ready.
Hell yeah, awesome!
Pretty exciting. My first ever clutch of bearded dragon eggs, so I'm excited about that.
The boy BPL got the snakes on here, man.
Oh yeah, he always got the pretty pythons.
It's just see, lighting in here sucks right now. Bull crap.
Look, hey, I just want to say 22 likes with no dislikes. That's pretty freaking awesome.
Oh,
all the haters were like, oh shit, he finally ditched BPL. Finally. Now we got to show.
No, I've been watching the last couple of nights. Y'all have had in the 20s in the likes and no dislikes. Apparently, that little spell of dislikes y'all are getting was definitely from somebody trying to hate on y'all. And just like most haters, they had no stamina, and it didn't last but a few shows, and they crept back into their little holes.
Todd says because he was here.
Todd said I'll whoop that ass. That's so funny. Yes,
but, usually your biggest fan is usually your biggest hater anyway. So you never know who. I mean, I kind of already know who, but I mean, whatever. I don't care. If you really want to
we talk about it. It's all good.
Yeah, fucking
I'm just saying. At the end of the day, it died quick, man, because they knew they couldn't mess with y'all. Y'all are too good.
I'm not worried.
It's like small things for giants. Those small things for giants.
Hell yeah.
He said me and DWA will go gangster.
So what are we gonna see next coming from you, Dragon Whisperer? We gotta know, man.
Well, next time y'all have me on the show, because now some of my bigger lizards are getting bigger, and I've got this live. I've got an ASF guy that's close, that's really cheap, and I'm breeding my own. So next time y'all have me on the show, we're gonna try to do like I did on my live stream. We're gonna feed a lot of the dragons live. We're gonna feed the tegu live. I'm trying to find a lot of the Tractor Supplies in my area will have baby chicks and ducks around this time, so I'm trying to get a really small chick to give the tegu on a live feed.
Oh, bro, I'm trying to find one for the boa. Oh, yeah. My God, dude. That's going to be one crazy video.
Yeah, and so then I want to do that the Savannah. He's getting big enough to get like some hoppers or some fuzzies instead of the pinkies. So I'm gonna do a lot of live feeding. And the female the female python should be ready for a live feeding. So that's what I'm gonna do next time y'all have me on.
Oh yeah, that's badass. Next time I'll actually be here because I don't have a birthday party until next year. So woohoo!
And I want to get my geckos out and show people my geckos next time I'm on.
Hell yeah, appreciate it. We'll definitely have you on here sometime soon coming up, man. We'll schedule it up, and we definitely appreciate you like doing this today, like filling in for BPL because, like I said, you kept it interesting, hanging out with Todd, and keeping the conversation going. That's one of the main things with the live streams because the dead air and the quiet time is what kills it.
Yeah,
because a lot of people they may not be actually watching the screen, but they do listen to a lot of this stuff, like like a podcast style deal. So keeping it going is the main thing.
Very true.
Well, I appreciate y'all having me, man. It means a lot. It's I definitely take it as a big compliment that you guys would even invite me. So I really appreciate it. Anytime.
Yeah, so we're probably going to end it here in a few minutes because we're up here at this 2-hour mark again. So we appreciate you guys all stopping by here in the chat, hanging out with us. We'll probably see who else is going to be live here in a little while. Might hop on there, talk a few minutes, and then get ready to go to bed myself. So if you guys got anything you want to say to the people, we'll go ahead and do your thing.
Go ahead, Dragon.
Hey, I'm just like I said, definitely can't fill BPL shoes by any means, but I was glad to be the co-host and glad BPL could make it in here for a minute. But like I said, you guys check everybody out. This on the shout out list and down below, and catch the PNA show every night. And once again, I'm humbled and honored to be on here once again with you guys.
Oh yeah. So I appreciate it. Like, I really do. Thank you for coming up here, taking my spot tonight. Like, I appreciate you taking the time out to do that for me and Josue. And, tomorrow we'll be on Josue's channel again. So till next time, I'm BPL. Peace out.
All right, guys. I'll holler at you guys, and we'll see you on the next episode.